I don't know about you, but when I'm about to go somewhere on a trip, I get into this like packing frenzy. Uh, so I'm trying to pack, and I'm coming down from my like mostly there packing frenzy. So, hello, I am Andrew. Some of you may know me from the Do Nothing Project as the moderator and sometimes guest host. A certified mindfulness meditation coach. I almost said instructor, but so I'm certified mindfulness meditation coach. My final exam, they call it the Warriors Circle for the Buddhist Immersion Meditation Teacher Training through the Open Heart Project and Susan Piver is this weekend. So I'll be doing that remotely from the land of 10,000 lakes, Minnesota. That's where I'm headed. A big hello to Ruthless Crab. Bonjour, Paul. Hello, Peggy, who is also in the warm, the calm before the magnifying glass is positioned over the Valley of the Sun. It's about to get very, very hot next week. And then hello as well to Michael Perry. Thank you, Michael Perry. And then for any folks, Anne and Colette usually are here. Anybody who's chilling and not in chat, hello, thank you for your time and attention, and the people that have watched in the future. I do see the recording deals on the bump up over time, so we get a little trickle in. So I know that folks are watching the after broadcast or after live stream. Yes, thank you for the well wishes. Hello, Susan. Susan is also in the Sonoran Desert, so I'm happy to be missing the triple digits this weekend. We missed them over the weekend in Mount Lemmon, which is nearby where we live here in Tucson. But I'm not looking forward to the week of the 26th, which looks like it's going to be very warm in Tucson and even warmer in Scottsdale and Valley of the Sun, where Peggy is. So I don't totally know what we're going to do for a theme today because I have been trying to get everything done at work in that crazy sort of hustle of like get things done before you're disappearing on vacation. I just came back from being up in Mount Lemmon, and so I was out a day or two there. So I was thinking something very, very simple. There is a book called The Art of Noticing that Rob Walker wrote, and I want to say that it was maybe August 2019, but Rob Walker he wrote for Medium for a while and had a blog called The Marker, I think, or Marker, and he would write about objects and sort of found objects and things. And The Art of Noticing is this meditation adjacent kind of thing. I was on a podcast in, I don't even remember now, early 21, so maybe January 2021, and it was about software engineers and meditation, and like what can software engineers and knowledge workers in general get out of meditation. And I got asked for my book recommendations or something, and I included The Art of Noticing because that book really has these cool little exercises, many that I entertained myself with during the pandemic, around sort of finding things in your environment or noticing things in your environment. So if you listen to 99% Invisible podcast, they talk a lot about the part of design that you may not be like noticing. And so I think those two like worlds are really kind of a cool side category to meditation, because as we get more concentration, clarity, and equanimity, we start to notice more things that we didn't notice, or we notice, that these sunflowers look different than the ones that were here last year, or something along those lines. Hello, Gabrielle. And there's just like there's a fidelity to life that you get out of meditating. And my like kind of shorthand is that meditation ultimately helps you show up in your life the way that you want to. It's not about being like the world-class meditator or kicking ass at following your breath or any of those sort of things. So what we'll do is a really razor thin thing that I got out of that Art of Noticing book. And it is there's a French essayist named Georges Perec, I think his name is, and he talked about the infraordinary, or like sort of like in essence, piggybacking on Jeff's theme for Sunday, this past Sunday, the mundane and profound. Kind of the infraordinary is just like really just the bare sense of being a body. And seeing if we can move out of doing mode, which I'm talking about, the doing of packing and doing of all those things, into the being mode. I missed my 3:00 sit. I sit with this the Zen temple in Michigan, and I noticed that. Like I noticed that I didn't have my like kind of like my 3:00 like leveling out, and then before I rushed to this, so. Thank you for being here. Got a few extra people than normal. So where are we headed? 25 minutes. We'll finish with about maybe 5 to 6 minutes of kind of no technique, or the do nothing technique. And then I'll offer light guidance around this sort of thin, profound being. So yes, thank you very much with this crab. That is exactly the spelling for Georges Perec, and infraordinary is the topic. And there may be an essay posted online if you search for Perec and infraordinary. I think I read something back in like 2019. 2019 was a great do nothing time. Celeste Headley wrote her do nothing book. Jenny Odell had the How to Do Nothing book, and then Andrew Smart had a book called Autopilot, and they were all kind of about the same sort of topics that we have. And then there was the whole Nixon thing. I just finished Olga Meckling's book on Nixon. I can't think of the title of it now, but that was interesting as well. And Olga was one of the folks that was writing about Nixon around that same time in summer 2019. So, all right, I talked way more than I should have. Let's sit and do nothing, or do very little. All right, as you settle in, you can just find a posture that will help you be kind of mostly still. And the stillness is really just a chance for us to see what moves, or see what is moving really in experience. So the stillness kind of helps us contrast. So you could be standing, you could be lying down. If you're lying down, you may want to consider opening your eyes. If you're sitting on a chair, as Susan Piver says, sitting on a chair is equally spiritual as sitting on a cushion. And then just settling in and seeing if you can find a mostly upright posture. And why the upright posture? Because that helps clue the nervous system into bringing a bit more alertness. And as we switch from doing to being, just checking in to see if there's any tension. You'll know where you hold your tension better than I do, but you may want to sort of raise your shoulders and let them drop, seeing if they can comfortably be down and back. You may notice tension around the jaw or the eyes. And sometimes the noticing is enough for the tension to release. And if it isn't, it's our first opportunity to bring no big deal attitude. Welcome the tension. And then a few calm, deliberate breaths, leaning on the wisdom of the Beastie Boys, where slow and low is our tempo we're looking for. Breathing in slow through the nose allows us to breathe low into the belly, and then extending and accentuating the exhale is a cue to the nervous system that we can shift into a rest and relaxation state. And then marking this point as a sort of waypoint that you could return to, just this gentle sitting and recognizing or knowing that you're sitting. You can always come back to this spot if the guidance is confusing or you're just not feeling it. Totally fine. Or you can always allow my cues to just kind of be in the background. And then starting out with a little bit of a callback to where we were last week. Just see if you can bring your attention to sort of the edge of the body in whatever posture you're in. Kind of as you bring that attention to the edges, noticing where the pressure points are. And then sort of feeling a little bit of the difference between the pressure points and if you're like I am in an environment where you really feel the edges of the skin where the skin is exposed to the air around you. And then as we settle in, kind of deciding, again, this is your choice, you're in control. Deciding if you want a home base, so that could be sounds around you as your home base, it could be the breath, it could be the body. Or if you want to allow your focus to float and move to what is most interesting. And so the choice is a home base or to operate in a more attention mobile frame. And if you're letting your attention float, just kind of seeing where is it drawn. Maybe it's drawn to the sort of Gansfield grayscale view of the back of the eyelids, or maybe to sounds around you. Maybe it's pulled in a direction for the just slightly more than ordinary stimulus. So I'll offer one more example and then I'll let you explore on your own, either floating or with your home base. But so I have a clock that's ticking, and so my attention will kind of go to something like the sound of the ceiling fan, and then I'll notice the clock. I'm kind of pulled back and forth. So your environment might have something similar, and that's a little bit of what I'm highlighting. And if that's available, great. And if it's not, then you've always got that beginning waypoint or your home base. So I'll allow you to explore on your own a bit, and I'll check in and see how it's going. And so we don't want to channel too much and shift too much when we're changing around. So if you pick a home base and don't like that, and then shift to another thing, and then shift to another thing, kind of notice the shifting, or seeing if you can flip that to be your object of focus. And if that's not the case, then that's super cool. As you settle in, you might notice sensations in the body that are kind of available but not always there. So maybe there's kind of pleasant, relaxed feeling. You might feel that in the back, or maybe the arms or the chest. Or maybe there's a feeling of groundedness that's available in the feet, or kind of just in the seated body. So just checking into that being mode a little bit. Kind of delighting in the basics. And if your home base is feeling a little slippery, you can always use mental labels to help with that. So if you're focused on sound, you could use hear, Hear, as a mental label to help you sort of support and remain in contact. Or with the breath in and out, one possible set of labels. So I'll let you keep exploring, and then I'll cue you when it's an opportunity to shift, to do nothing. Okay, so I've been offering this very light technique, and if you found a groove with that, you can sort of keep pedaling your sort of bicycle of experience in that direction. Keep going. Again, it's your choice. Or you can coast. You've put in enough effort, and just see if you can let go of that technique then if you want, and coast for a bit. Shift into doing nothing. And a few things to mention before I let you completely shift over into sort of no technique. And the idea is that as you let go of trying to do anything to control your attention, you might notice that you flip into counting your breaths, or that you flip into the practice that you do most often. And so you can let go of that. And if you notice that you go back, just kind of allow whatever technique you shift into to be there. And that's also a form of doing nothing. Shinzen says that's sort of the body meditating you. So allow you to shift into that, and we'll talk on the other side. Thank you for your practice. Thank you for showing up on a Wednesday midweek and sitting with me and everyone else. Yeah. And if you have questions, reports, anything, you can go ahead and drop those in chat. And then a note to folks. So I know, I think Paul had asked last week about getting on the mailing list. That's excellent to hear, Ruth. That's awesome. Paul had mentioned about getting onto the mailing list. I actually didn't send out an email this week. And that was part of the scatteredness of me in general, trying to get to a point where I have things set up to send out reminders and everything. You're incredibly welcome. Thank you so much, Susan, for making it, and for folks chiming in on chat. You're very welcome, Paul and Michael. Thank you again. Or you're welcome, and thank you. But yeah, so I didn't send out an email this time, and then I also didn't make the live stream until maybe like 3 hours before. So I'll try to have that in place next time. And so you'll likely, if folks are on the email list for that, I'll send out a reminder. And then I have some meditation materials that I haven't made public yet that are on the YouTube channel, but they're unlisted. And so I've been kind of sneaking those into some of the emails that I'm sending out along the way. So I'll try to get something in on that as well. And thank you so much, Peggy. Yeah, I'm trying. I think it's the antithesis of being a meditation teacher to worry about your meditation teacher like exam. So I'm trying to be as like chill about it as I can be. So there's I think there's 31 questions, and they will pull them at random, and then you need to answer the question, and that's the sort of notion of that. So, and that training is in the Vajrayana Buddhist lineage, and that's a lineage I don't have a whole lot of familiarity with. But the teacher stuff is a lot of the stuff that we talk about on the Do Nothing Project, or that you'll see people ask questions in chat. So I'm hoping to not lull myself into a false sense of confidence. So you're incredibly welcome, Gabrielle. Thank you again so much. So yeah, no, I appreciate that, Paul. But there will be an email probably Saturday or scheduled for Monday or Tuesday next week. So you'll get it in advance, so that it's a polite nudge. Hopefully, you're very welcome, Deb. Thank you again. So again, hopefully the time is working. If you have some ideas for topics that we kick around on the Do Nothing Project, but we don't get to do, that will definitely be something that you can share. I think Jeff and I have joked about taking a crack at the notion of evergreen. So I may take a crack at that as well. Yes, Peggy, that is an excellent question. So the easiest way will be to send an email to andrew.leonards@gmail.com, and then I'll add you. And then I'm going to create a form that'll allow people to add themselves. It's not a Shambhala exam, but most of the teachers are from the prior Shambhala lineage. So there's a lot of those folks left to the lineage in 2018. And so now they're kind of on their own, or set aside from the lineage. So it's if you're familiar with Susan Piver, actually filled in for Dan Harris during the pandemic when they were doing the noon meditations. But Susan Piver is the lead teacher for this, and then it's done through the Open Heart Project. But Susan was in prior to 2018 was trained in everything in the Shambhala lineage. So hopefully that makes that slightly more clear. But there are some folks that haven't kind of found a permanent home after a lot of the Shambhala places had let go, and that's that's a big bummer. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. Yeah. So the technique the primary technique for this course is shamatha vipassana. Um, Probably something you're super familiar with if you were sitting with those folks. So cool. Well, again, super appreciate folks coming out and sitting in a midweek when there's a lot going on. And happy solstice! I forgot that as well. Chris from the Do Nothing Project, that folks will know, had messaged on Instagram to highlight this was happy solstice as well. Um, so yeah, there you go. Have a great weekend. I will see you. I'll be tuning in from Minneapolis, somewhere in Minneapolis near the Minneapolis airport on Sunday. But I'll be moderating on Sunday in chat. So thanks again.